There are so many signs in your personal birth chart that can point you towards untapped potential. And I wanted to talk about this today. First of all, we're going to keep this short and sweet and to the point today because there's a lot I could talk about in the birth chart and I don't want to make this too complicated. So, when it comes to like untapped potential, which means that things that qualities that you have that you still need to grow into, that maybe they don't come really as natural for you, or challenges that your soul really came here, the path that your soul really came here to learn. There are two areas in the chart that I like to pay attention to. Obviously, there's a lot, but for the sake of today's episode, we're gonna focus on these two areas. That is, first of all, your rising sign, and second of all, it is your north node. Let's start with the rising sign. The rising, I'm holding myself right now because I'm like, wait a minute, but there's a third one. Wait, there's a fourth one. But no, no, no. We're going to practice some restriction today and focus on these two elements. First of all, the rising sign. The rising sign, I'm not going to lie to you, this is something that really was hard for me because I was in denial. But because the rising sign, and the most basic way to explain it is often this filter that you get, that you go through life with. It's that external shell that people see you when you first meet people. It's that first layer of yourself that they bump against, right? So let's say you are a Leo, but you do have Capricorn, as your ascendant. Capricorn is your rising sign. So pretty much what that means is that, yeah, you are a Leo, you might be very fiery, passionate, and kind of like really, go big or go home, inside, or as your core personality. But when people first see you, because you're Capricorn rising, then they might hit that first very reserved and kind of like keep it to yourself. That is what they might bump against. So often we get judged a lot, not on who we really are, not based on your moon sign, which is your emotional system, your emotional reactive, how you handle emotions. Often we don't get judged based on the moon sign because it's very hidden, and that's something that comes out once you start interacting with people a bit more. And often we don't even, the first judgment that we don't get judged with that first interaction, not even based on your sun sign, but the first interactions, the first, like, all the, when you first meet someone, and we all tend to cast a judgment on that person when we first meet them. We call it the impression that we get from that person. Well, that impression is often based on the rising sign, because this is the first element that we bump against when we see someone, when we meet someone for the first time. So I've been paying extra attention to that rising sign because often it is a hidden energy that we're yet to tap into. Let's take this, and I like to see it as a secret power also, to help us get through life, or to help your soul do the work that it needs to do. And that is often part of the work itself, to learn to tap into that. And so for example, with the example that we had earlier, let's say someone who has a Leo sun with a Capricorn rising. Now, that person might feel like, oh, I don't really identify with the Capricorn rising because that's not who I am. But we should really be careful not to just like disregard the energy of the rising sign, because again, I'm seeing it more and more, even with myself, that it's a hidden gift. It's a hidden gift. It's like an invitation area. So if you're someone who's trying to elevate, your soul, you're trying to grow, you're trying to like grow into the next best version of you, into your higher self, definitely pay extra attention to your rising sign. We could work on that together if you want. You could get a birth chart reading with me, or any other like astrological services with me. All the links are down below. That way we could look at the case by case situation in your own chart. But the rising sign is a hidden gem. In that case of the Leo sun that we talked about, our dear friend, the Leo sun with the Capricorn rising, that Capricorn rising can be an assisting energy that is helping our Leo manage that Leo energy, right? Because it's great to have so much passion and fire, but also, as we know, let's say that person, the shadow side of the Leo energy can be a lot of self-centeredness or being quick to lash out and things like that. So that Capricorn energy can really help stabilize that Leo energy, because Leo is amazing. Leo has a great heart, a great, they can be so giving and loyal, to like crazy amount of loyalty to their family, their friends, to their people. Think about a lion, right? The lion is like a such an animal with so much pride, but then really care about their own set of friends and family, immediate family members, part of their lion pride. So this is where that Capricorn energy can help tame, that Leo energy, not in a making it flat, and hiding it, but as a way to help the person control that energy more, and be in a better self-controlled state. That way the energy doesn't consume them, but they can really start tapping into the qualities of their Leo energy, and then really use the Capricorn energy to balance out, to decrease, the shadow side, like the flaws, let's say. So this is how I notice in my readings often that the rising sign pretty much always it complements the sun sign so beautifully, right? Or another example we can have is a water sign. Let's say we do have a Cancer, right? A water sign, which can feel they're very, very intuitive. They're very tapped into, they can feel things like crazy. Their intuition is their compass, and then they have they have great sense, that they can sense when something is a good deal to pursue, and they're pretty much great manifestors, right? But also with the Cancer, we can see there's a certain overwhelming, they can feel overwhelmed by the energy of the moon, because Cancer is ruled by the moon, and they are the only sign that is receiving all the energy of the moon. Whereas most signs pretty much share the energy. For example, we do have Pisces and Sagittarius that share the energy of Jupiter. But when it comes to signs like Leo, the Leo gets all the energy of the sun. And then when it comes to our Cancer, they're ruled by the moon, so all that energy comes for them only. That explains why they can be so intense, feel so overwhelmed by all of this water and all of this emotion. But let's say in the case of our Cancer friend, right, and let's say the rising sign is another earth element, that can actually help balance out that water, because water and earth balance one another beautifully, right? So this is how we can start seeing our rising sign as a major support sign for us. Even if we're a double sign, let's say double Cancer, let's say like a Cancer sun with a Cancer rising. Now that will be a lot of water, right? Often there will be other elements in the chart that is helping balance that out. Or that can really be because this is part of the soul mission for this current reincarnation, to actually needing that amount of water to do the work it needs to do. Now you might ask, okay, but Steph, how do I know what the soul mission is? Now this is where we can look into the second element that I mentioned before, that I talked about in this episode. We first started with the rising sign. The second element that can pretty much help you step into your greater potential, and that is a hidden gem in your chart, is your North Node. Your personal North Node in your own birth chart. That is the North Node, that it's pretty much there. It's the blueprint. It's the blueprint of your life. This is the blueprint, the destination that your soul, the work that your soul wants to focus on. And by tapping into that, and we pretty much get a greater picture, and it helps you see, okay, like, what is this? What is your soul want to do here? what is your soul, and also not just looking at the sign that the North Node is in, but I mean, not just looking at what is the North Node, but paying attention to which house is it in. Is it in the house of of family, of communication, of the self, of community? So all of these things, which is why I'm always saying all the time that your birth chart is literally your treasure map that you came in with. It's all given to you by the creator from the light. You didn't come here you didn't come here totally like empty-handed and then with no idea about what is going on in this crazy circus. No, this is all one of my favorite teacher loves to say about how this physicality is a simulation, because again we operate in the world with our five senses, and we're so sure that we know everything, but we don't know anything. What we think is true is barely like we're barely scratching the surface. So, but the beautiful thing is that we're blessed with the cosmos, and in our birth chart, that is pretty much this divine tool that is given to you from the light, from the creator, to help guide you, to help guide your soul in this current reincarnation. And then because the North Node is always linked with the South Node, so the South Node is pretty much telling you about your past reincarnation, and they're pretty much opposite. So when we can see the North Node, because your South Node is pretty much things that you've already, it's past life, it's qualities that you've already experienced, you already mastered, and then your soul often will choose kind of like the opposite in a way for you to balance. Once again, I don't know how many times I said the word balance, and I say the word balance here on the platform, but because we always need to strive for balance, and this is what the soul is kind of coming here to do, learning to have a greater balance and a greater affinity with the light, with the creator,